Welcome, everyone, to Tech Tuesday. As you can see here, I have Tommy Anderson from Data Sales Company. And I'm going to let Tommy introduce you. If you don't know me, I should go dial it back. I'm Jaime Norris. I'm the manager of onboarding and success. And Tommy's here to talk about the program. We've been talking about him, with partners individually, but we thought it might be cool to get him on this call so he can explain the program and then live answer any questions you might have. So, Tommy, I will kick it over to you and you let me know when you want me to advance the slide.
Great. Thanks, Jamie, for having me again. Yeah, Tommy Anderson with Data Sales. I'm lease development representative here and help run our DaaS program. So excited to share more about the program, ways we help service providers kind of grow their businesses. And I think that the program can be a strong complement to the RingLogix platform. So I'll start with a quick background on data sales, walk you through what the program is, what's included, and then kind of how that approval process works and answer any questions. So a little bit about data sales. We're a 52-year-old company headquartered in Minneapolis, Minnesota, privately owned, self-funded, family-run business. I'm not part of that family, but they are going on to their third generation, which has been pretty cool to see here. We have a facility in Scottsdale, Arizona as well. In total, I think we have about 100 full-time employees currently. So really our two primary offerings. The first is our traditional lease offering, and that is typically a fixed rate for either 2 or 3 years with an option to purchase at the end of the term. And for that, we're doing a lot of data center style equipment, servers, storage, networking gear. Have been doing a lot of GPU infrastructure in the last couple of years to support the AI and machine learning market. And we'll also support PCs, laptops, iPads as well. So, and then about 8 or so years ago, we created our DaaS program, which is the device as a service. And really what that is, it's a true month-to-month phone rental offering. So currently we work with, over 100 service providers and have deployed millions of dollars worth of phones and other VoIP related hardware. Then you can go on to that next slide.
Impressive.
So kind of jumping into it. So what is the DaaS program? So really it was put together for service providers around that VoIP space who are providing phones with the service. So they can turn that phone purchase from an upfront CapEx expense into a monthly operating expense. And really that allows you to convert a one-time hardware and device sale into a monthly recurring revenue that you're generating from your end customers. So it's a true month-to-month rental where we contract with the service provider and you guys in turn have your contracts with your end customers. So we don't work with the end customers at all. We just work with the service providers. And when you guys purchase a phone through the DaaS program, you're charged a monthly rental rate from data sales that you can mark up to your end customers however you guys like. So whether that's, marking it up a few dollars or, including it with the service charge and saying that the phones are free and included, whatever you guys want to do is up to you guys, but it can really allow you to tap into certain opportunities that you might not have been able to before because, you're able to look at large deployments where you're not having to, pay for that equipment or having your customers pay for that upfront. So really one of the big selling points on the DaaS program is it allows the flexibility where if your customers cancel service at any time, you simply have the phones returned to data sales and we stop charging you that monthly rental fee. So, for example, say you're 3 months into a contract and customer cancels, you have a bunch of phones with them, you just have those returned to us and we would stop charging you the monthly rental fee on those phones. And then moving forward to kind of a little bit more on what hardware is supported. So really it's going to be any hardware around that VoIP offering. A lot of, the phones, headsets, networking gear. We've been recently doing more of the video equipment as well. And then working with distributors. A lot of times these are going to be authorized distributors. If you see them on the list there, if you don't, and they're an authorized distributor, typically we can work with them as well. So really what that looks like is you're ordering through those distributors like you are now. You're getting the quotes, placing the orders. The only difference is we are receiving those invoices. So the distributor knows that we'd have you guys set up with the DaaS account. They'd set up a separate DaaS account on their end so that you can place orders for the DaaS program, or you can go in on your other account and purchase the phones outright if that makes sense. So allows you to do both. But we collect all the invoices over the course of the month and then create a rental schedule. And then we begin to bill you on the first of the following month based on what you've ordered. So moving forward to the approval process, really what I try to do is understand what your needs look like over the course of the next 6 to 12 months, and then get you approved for a line that you can draw down on as you make purchases. So we start with our annual DaaS lines starting at around 50K and then go up to, a million plus, really depending on what your purchases look like. So that being said, there's no monthly purchase requirements. Really, the line is just put in place and you're able to use it as needed. So I like to set up a quick phone call, learn more about your business, what your needs look like, and walk you through any questions. And then from a credit review standpoint, our team has to see the last 2 years of historical financials, current year-to-date interims, so that's balance sheet and P&L statement. And then we ask to see a sample customer contract as well, and that's just to ensure that there's no language saying, ownership of that equipment is being passed to the end customer. So, typically once we receive all that information, it takes them about 72 hours, and then we can get a term sheet presented with an approved rate. So you use that rate to calculate your monthly rental payment, and I'll kind of get into that here in a second as well. So kind of moving on now, or Jamie, do you have a question?
No.
Okay. And then on to the questions. I know two of the biggest questions that come up, I'll kind of just jump into right away. So a lot of people ask, what happens if a phone breaks, right? So you're able to utilize the warranty that you're getting from the manufacturer. So you'd work directly with the distributor. I know a lot of the Poly and Yealing phones, I think they have a 1-year warranty. So, you'd work with the distributor, get a new phone sent out, and we would just ask to get the updated MAC ID or serial number for that phone to update our system. So if it's outside of warranty, the service provider is responsible for the replacement of that phone. And we have a document that we refer to where it breaks down from months like 1 to 48, the percentage of that original equipment cost that you'd be responsible to pay. So we see service providers include similar language into their contracts so that they can pass that on to the end customer a lot of the time. But I can happily share that document with anybody who's interested as well. So, and then ballpark rates, just to kind of give you an idea. So typically for phones, we're usually around 0.031 for our rate. And you take that rate, multiply it by the equipment cost to get your monthly rental fee. So for round numbers, if it's a $100 phone, you'd take that $100 multiplied by that 0.031, and your monthly rental on a $100 phone would be $3.10. So
Wow.
you're able to, mark that up to your customer if you want, or bake that into the service price, but that's kind of a good kind of ballpark. We're usually right around there if you get approved for the program. So that's really kind of the gist. I know I kind of went through everything quick. I'm happy to delve deeper into
Yeah, do we
certain
have some
areas.
questions? I mean, we figured it would be a lot more like Q&A, you know what
Yeah,
I mean?
for sure.
Than anything. And guys, feel free to unmic and ask your questions out loud, or if you're shy, put them in the chat. Um, let's see.
I see.
Steve, yeah, you got a question from Steve. Any minimum order amount?
Yeah,
No,
so
right?
there's no monthly minimums. We really try to understand what your needs look like just to get a line in place. But once that's in place, you're not required to make a certain amount of purchases over the course of the months. If there's a low month and then you have a really busy month, we kind of expect that. So I think I saw another question.
Yeah, Wayne asked, how does device as a service differ from leasing? It really doesn't, right? I mean, it is leasing, it's just device as a service, right? You're kind of
Yes,
naming it. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, I mean, really the only main difference between DaaS and leasing is for the traditional lease offering, you're tied in for a 2 or 3 year term. So there's no early return option on that side. Where the DaaS it's purely month to month where you do have the option to return early. So, you know,
And there's no penalty to return early.
no penalty, right? Yep. So you
Got
could,
it.
like I said, on that $100 phone, you might have be 3 months in, you made 3 payments and they cancel service. We have those phones returned and we stop charging you. So, yep.
Pretty cool. Did that answer both your questions, Steve and Wayne, or do you have any follow-up? And feel free to unmic if you'd like to talk. Yeah,
But
because
yeah,
I think that's what a lot of people were wondering too, like kind of
yeah,
what's in it for you, because it seems really inexpensive
yeah,
and, you know, and you do more. I mean, we of course, it complements, our partners selling RingLogix white labeled, but obviously this is white labeled because you're billing the partner and the partner's billing the customer. So
right.
that continues on with the white labeling. So that's pretty cool. Very complimentary to, what they do today.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, yeah, and it's been a really successful program in the last 8 or so years that we've been doing it. What we see is phones are typically pretty sticky products, and once they're on the customer's desk, as long as there's no issues, they tend to stay there, which is good for, everybody involved. So,
Yeah, and a lot of you are MSPs on this call too. So what's cool about signing up with Tommy is it's not, you can buy more things than just phones, as he explained earlier, too. So if you're doing other types of hardware for your, computers, iPads, like you said, this could be a complimentary program. Is it very similar with the computers, or is it different, Tommy? Like as far as the
yeah, so the
way
VoIP,
that,
yeah, so for the DaaS program specifically on the month-to-month rental, it's going to be centered around the VoIP equipment. So, the phones are huge, headsets, any networking equipment, so, access points, that type of gear. And then on the laptops and the other hardware, we'd look to do a traditional lease where it's a set 2 or 3 year term. So,
okay. So that's the
um,
main difference.
yep,
Gotcha. So Wayne, maybe that helps answer your question a little bit too. It's
Yes, yes.
cool. Good stuff. Cool.
yeah,
Anybody else have any other questions? As you can see too on this page, I knew this was going to be kind of a quick one today, guys. I know plus the holidays is coming up and but Tommy's information's here. If you'd like to chat with him too, feel free to drop your info. So as you guys know, when we have vendors on our calls, we don't share your information with them. It's just not something that we do. So if you did want, Tommy to reach out, like you're interested in talking more, feel free to drop your, email address and name in the chat, and I'll make sure that Tommy gets that information. But also, we always send out the package too, so you'll get Tommy's presentation that has his information on it. I actually have a one pager that he sent to me a while back, and I'll get that into your follow up package as well. So if you're, I mean, do you guys think you would pitch this as your own leasing program, or would you reference that you're doing it through a leasing company, like if you were going to do something like this?
Hmm.
Wayne, you can answer if you for the group. Like, would you do it as CCP or would you do it as, would you say you're doing it through a leasing company?
I could see saying that it's done through CCP,
Mhm.
financial services,
Right.
something along those lines. I could see doing that.
Yeah, for sure, huh? Yeah, that's what I
I,
think's
I,
cool about it.
I just wanted to clarify something that I'm just mm, not clear about.
Yeah.
So when you mentioned before that this is predominantly used for the phone hardware purchase side of
hmm
the equation, and not so much if we were also doing, let's say, a network upgrade. Let's say we're combining a network upgrade with a voice over IP sale,
hmm
and we have certain infrastructure costs that have now become part of the overall picture.
hmm
Where does DaaS come into the equation? Where I, want to focus my understanding of DaaS as compares to traditional leasing.
Yeah. So if it's any of that networking equipment that you'd be, purchasing, that's all covered with the DaaS program as well. I think the phones are obviously kind of the main piece, which a lot of people use it for, but network switches, that's all covered with it as well. So I think it's really
I feel
allows
like
you
you
to,
had a slide in here with it, didn't you? Oh, here it is. There you go.
yeah.
So this is what's the supported with DaaS, Wayne.
And really why we say it's kind of centered around the VoIP equipment is because we wanted it to be, able to, like when you guys are selling a 3-year contract, then this can kind of tie into the equipment that would be supporting that contract. So, and then if they were to cancel service, if you're doing month contracts or yearly, and whenever they cancel, all that equipment, that's a part of that contract can be returned. So,
So the equipment gets returned. So I'm just trying to understand what's actually happening.
mhm.
We have that monthly rate, the monthly payment. The
Yep,
customer decides to cancel at a certain point in time.
yep.
The equipment just goes back to the distributor that we originally bought it from.
So the equipment actually is returned to data sales. So we take all the equipment back. We have a full team that buys, sells, trades the used equipment, refurb. So that's kind of how we're able to collect some of our losses. Usually it takes us 3 years to make any money on a phone. So if it's returned in month 3, we try to resell that equipment and make some of our money back. So we actually are taking that back at data sales.
Okay.
Because when
I,
you're ordering it through distribution, right, Wayne, it's
mhm.
going they're knowing that you're using data sales, and data sales is receiving like the invoice,
Correct.
essentially probably prepaying the distributor,
Yep.
running the devices to you, collecting the money at the end of the day, and then that's why they now own the equipment at the, when the leases, if something were to terminate.
Yep.
Okay, so so data sales is selling it to the dealer, to the reseller. Data sales
So
is selling it.
and that's where it gets kind of confusing too. So you're actually purchasing directly through, let's just say Jenny, for example. So they're the ones that are selling you the phone. If you're having the phones shipped to, your business before you deploy them or having them drop shipped to your customer, that's all going through Jenny. We don't touch the product at all. That's all coming from the authorized distributors. We're just collecting the invoices at the end of the day and paying those invoices on your behalf. So we look at the equipment as just our secured interest in the deal.
Kind of like collateral.
Exactly. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Makes sense. And go ahead, Wayne. I'm sorry.
No,
I
I
was
think
going to
somebody
say,
else is first.
I was going to say now at the end of that, us as the reseller that sold it to the customer, do we have the option to buy out the equipment at the end of if a customer is no longer, renting the equipment and it's, after 3 years, would we be able to purchase it through DaaS,
So it's not,
as a one-time payout?
yeah. So I mean, it's something we kind of look at on a case by case basis. So obviously, our hope is that the equipment stays out for 3+ years.
Hmm.
But if there's a situation where, yeah, you guys would want to purchase it out, typically we can provide a price for it. So.
Okay.
And then I see Lee is the 0.031 rate for a set term. So for DaaS, there is no set term. It's purely month to month and goes on in perpetuity as long as, the phone's on your customer's desk. We would charge you that monthly rental rate. So that's kind of again, the big difference between a traditional lease and DaaS. So we do have some service providers who opt for, more of that traditional lease where they want to have a set 2 or 3 year term with a buyout at the end. And that's an option too, if that's something you'd prefer. So,
Good questions, guys.
Hey, Tommy, quick question about the buyout. Does that typically look like a fair market buyout? Is it a $1 buyout after a 3-year term? What does that look like? The reason I'm asking is if we enroll customers for 4 or 5 years, then we'll usually, as a closing tool, we'll offer them an upgrade, right? We'll swap out whatever hardware we gave them to begin with. It's primarily, if I'm just talking about phones at this point. Since the Yealink 5 series have come out, we haven't had to do that, but who knows what's next, right? So if we're going to exchange phones, but want to keep some of the phones that are still still serviceable while we do technology upgrades, what does that buyout look like? Is it because it looks like they hold their value from what we can tell on the market. Those Yealink 5 series phones hold their value for a long time.
For sure, yeah. So they are fair market value buyouts. And it's kind of hard to say what that price would be, 3 to 5 years from now, but it is technically fair market value on the traditional lease side. And then for the DaaS side, we would refer to the same document that we have if a phone were to break. And so that's our minimum casualty, and that's kind of what we'd refer to for what that buyout price would be. So I think at 3 to 4 years, it might be like 30% of the original equipment cost is what we kind of calculate there.
And then on the lease, not the DaaS side, because that would be month to month. But on the lease, are there multiple terms that we would choose from, or is everything on that lease a 2-year, 3-year? What does that lease look like?
Yeah, so on the traditional lease side, we only offer 24 and 36-month terms, so 2 or 3 year terms.
And then can they be extended if needed?
Yeah, so at the end of that, at the end of the term, you have the option to purchase the equipment, return the equipment, or we can look at, putting together a renewal for an extended maybe year or two. Kind of at that time, we'd work with you to see what makes the most sense.
Do you have any other suppliers or distributors that you're looking at on here? We use one of these that's on here. We work with Adam Oliver over at Teledynamics because we're so close to them.
Yep.
But we also have accounts with NetX. So are they somebody that you're looking at working with? I don't see them on the list today, but it doesn't mean they're not in progress.
Yeah, and I'll have to check. I believe we do work with NetX as well. You mentioned Adam Oliver. He's been a great partner of ours at Teledynamics. I know he tries to push the program. I'm just checking NetX. I believe we do. If it's an authorized distributor of the phones, then usually we can work with them. So, and NetX it sounds pretty familiar. So I believe we do work with those guys. I can kind of confirm that for you as well.
Yeah, Steve, I can
Sure.
have Tommy follow up with you if you want.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm sending him an email right now because I do want to have an
Okay.
offline conversation with him.
Here, I'll go right back to his email so you see it.
Great.
Good,
Let me
good,
see.
And then I think Carl asked, what's the hidden stuff, Tommy, right? Is there any fees, charges, involvement for,
Yeah. Yeah. So no.
what are you hiding from us, Tommy?
Right. Yeah. So no hidden fees, obviously. If we ask, there's going to be sales and use tests based on where the equipment is located. So if you have tax exempt certificates, we can obviously apply those. And then the equipment is returned to our office at Data Sales, which is in Burnsville, Minnesota. So we obviously provide the address for you. Once equipment is to be removed from that rental, you just notify us of, what equipment's coming back. And as soon as we receive that, make sure it's all there. We would take it off that rental schedule. So
What's that turnaround time usually look like, just depending on what you guys have got going on?
yeah, I know. Yeah, we usually move pretty quick. I think, we have a huge warehouse and a team that's dedicated to just, processing return equipment. So it's usually within a week that we can, and then it's removed from that next monthly rental payment. So
Gotcha. Do you sell the refurbed equipment? You said you refurb it. Do you sell it?
we do, yeah. So I don't personally, I'm not on the sales side of the refurb equipment, but we have a team that does, and they try to offload, all that equipment to one, customer if they can. So
Gotcha. So they
yeah.
selling it or like reselling it back to like distribution or something like
Yeah,
that, typically?
exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
So it's not like a consumer type market. They're reselling it to.
Right. Yep. And usually, yeah, we're trying to just offload as much as soon as we can. So yep.
Gotcha.
Let me see. So ideal customer for the rental concept, I think it can really vary. We've worked with really small service providers. We call them, the mom and pop shops up to the, really big players. So I think it just allows that flexibility that you can market it to your customers in different ways. So kind of finding what would be the right, you know, way to market it to your customers is up to you. But I think really anybody who's selling VoIP is kind of a good customer for us. And we work
Yeah,
with a
I
lot
feel
of,
like, and
yeah,
yeah, I'll help you too, Tommy. I
yeah,
feel the same way. I feel like everybody's a candidate for it, Wayne, but I will tell you,
yeah.
I'm going to pick on some generations right now. Millennials and above, right? Business owners too. They're probably gonna be like the hippest to like leasing a phone. The reason why, right, is VoIP's kind of following suit with cellular at the end of the day. So back in the day, you used to go into the cell phone store and you'd have to plunk down a bunch of money for your phones, right? And now, you go in and you buy $1,000 iPhone, but it's like separated into payments on your bill. And, some of the like old school, like our Gen Xers and boomers like me, we weren't hip to that. Like we wanted to buy it and own it, right? Instead of having, so I think it goes in line too with the way we're moving in this industry, like even with systems, premise used to be the thing. Somebody would plunk down 40, 50, $100,000, buy a premise system, they own it, they ride it till the wheels fall off, and now we've moved over to monthly reoccurring bills. And I think the adoption rate of that was adopted much quicker by, maybe even some younger business owners. But I think it's for everyone. But I feel like there's going to be certain demographics that are going to be hipper to it than others. But I mean, I feel like it can be for everyone, but I would say you're going to get a lot of, yeah, a lot of yeses from, maybe some of your younger business owners that aren't trying to put out all that upfront capital. They want to slice it into payments.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Good stuff. What else we got? Carl, that answered all your stuff?
Yep. Thanks.
Good stuff.
Hey.
Cool. Wayne, you got some more?
No, that's it, Jamie. I got to run. Got to get to something
Yeah.
else. But great session. Thank you.
No problem. Good stuff.
Okay.
All right. Anybody else? Anybody else? I mean, I don't want to call on everybody by name, but I will if I have to. Yeah. All right, cool. I told you guys, oops, I reversed on accident. Told you guys this would be a shorty today, and I appreciate your time and coming, Tommy. So once again, I'm gonna leave this up here for a minute. It's Tommy's information. So if you want to give him a holler, you want to email him, feel free. If you forget his information, call me. But we'll get you this presentation, this recording, and I'll get you guys over the one pager when the video downloads and Gabriella sends it all out. So cool. Tommy, any closing thoughts, or are you good to go too?
No, I'm good to go, Jamie. I appreciate you letting me kind of present here. And like you said, if
Yeah.
anybody has follow-up questions, if something comes up after that you think of, feel free to find a way to reach out to me. Either, call me, email me. I'm happy to set up a one-on-one call or whatever it need to be. So just let me know.
Cool. Great. Well, thank you all. I hope you have a wonderful day. And if I don't talk to you, have a good holiday.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.